Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Hey, today I wanted to do another ranking video. It's been a while since I've done one. The last time that I did one, I was ranking several different devices against each other that spanned a bunch of different categories, and I wanted to kind of refine that today. So the last time, as I mentioned, I was looking at black and white versus color. I even had an iPad in the mix, mainly because it was all of the devices that I use to take handwritten notes. So my primary use case for an e-ink device is for handwritten notes. So I wanted to take a look today at it a little bit more narrowly defined. So I'm going to look at four 10-inch black and white non-front lit e-ink devices solely from the perspective of a note taker. If it's got other features such as, if it's got the Google Play Store, if it does other things other than note taking, I'm not going to be looking at that today. And I'm also not going to be ranking that today. I'm going to look at 10 different categories. And the way that the rankings are going to work, same as before, is that I'm going to rank these devices 1 through 4, 1 being the best, 4 being the worst in a particular category. And then I'm going to sum up all of the categories and see which device has the smaller number. So a smaller number is a better score in this particular scenario. So let's go ahead and dig into, I want to show you the categories first. So here are the 10 categories that we have. As I said, I'm going to be ranking them 1 through 4, and then I'll total them up at the end of the video. But between each section, I'll kind of give you a running total of where we stand with each one of the categories. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on the hardware of this. We're going to talk about hardware look and feel, but we're also going to talk about some of the special features of some of the devices. And I'm going to start off by saying I'm not including the screen in this first category, although I do want to point out something that is somewhat related to the screen. As you'll see on some of these devices, as you look at the bezels around the screen, some of these companies do a really good job of matching the bezel color to the screen color. And the only one that's not doing that is Supernote here. Supernote is doing a white bezel around the screen that's very similar to what Kindle did in the second version of the Scribe. I guess it's a matter of taste if you like that or not. I think that it does give the impression that it makes the screen, you could either say that this contrast of the screen and shows or makes the screen look darker, or you could say that white bezel kind of makes the screen pop. It's really a personal preference there, but a lot of these devices are focused on integrating the bezel color with the actual screen color. Two of these devices use a extra chin on the left side of it. You'll see that the Remarkable 2 here has a chin. They've chosen to make this black. On the Boox Go 10.3, it's a white chin over here. You don't see any kind of a chin on the ViWoods AI Paper, nor do you see any kind of a chin, to the left side at least, on these devices on the Supernote Manta as well. For the Boox Go 10.3, really thin device, very premium looking. It's got a leatherette back to it that is really nice if you're going to use it without a case. It's got kind of a grippy feel to it. It feels really good. So just a really good premium feeling device. It's very light, well balanced. The stylus that comes with it is, it does attach magnetically due to the thickness of the device. It's not a really good secure attachment. But I use a pin loop on the cases that kind of mitigate that. When you look at the ViWoods AI Paper, I think it is also a very thin device. It also has the kind of the thing where the stylus doesn't attach. Extremely strong. If you get it in the right spot, it's better than other places. Looks like that's the right spot. This one does have some special features in that it's got 3 capacitive buttons at the bottom. One for back, one for home, and one to activate the AI features. The back of the device is kind of a smooth, it doesn't have that textured feel like the Boox does, but still it's a very nice feeling device. When you look at the Supernote Manta, it's a very light device, and due to the beveled edges, it gets thinner as it gets around to the sides of the device. The device has a very light feel to it, a very thin feel to it, and it's really nice to hold in the hand. You know, as far as the special features of the device, you see I've got a mark on the back of mine. I can't seem to get that out. Don't know how that happened. But special features on the device is that you can pop this cover off. You can replace the battery. You can add, you know, expandable storage as far as an SD card. You can also replace the motherboard, the CPU on there. And that's the only device that offers that kind of expandability on there. So it's also got these capacitive swipe edges on the side. Swiping up and swiping down do different things for each side of the device. So, you know, as far as special features, there's a lot that's kind of baked into the Supernote Manta. When you look at the Remarkable 2, this is kind of the granddaddy of all the devices here. Remarkable 2 has been out for a while. Still, it's got a very premium feel to it. You know, I don't think that anybody would be disappointed with how this device looks and feels from a hardware standpoint. You know, the pen does attach very, very strongly, probably the best of all the devices out here. As far as special features from a hardware standpoint, really none that I can think of that stand out. So due to the modularity of the Supernote Manta, the integrated pin loop that you can take off or put on, as well as the custom capacitive swipe bars on both sides of the screen, it's going to take the top spot from a hardware standpoint. And then the device having the fingerprint sensor, the ViWoods AI Paper, is going to take the second place in this category. So moving on to the screen, there's a couple of things that I wanted to look at here and compare, and that's the screen brightness. Now, none of these have a front light, so when I say brightness, I'm just talking about how close to white is this compared to the other devices on the table here. So none of them, if you looked at, you know, a pure white sheet of paper, would, you know, even come close to that. But when you look at the brightness of the devices, I would say that probably the ViWoods AI Paper is the brightest. It's followed by the Remarkable 2, and then the Supernote Manta. And the interesting thing is that the Supernote Manta and the ViWoods AI Paper, I believe, share the same screen. But there's a layer on top of this one for the feel right screen protector for the writing feel. And then I would say that the Boox is probably the darkest, but there's not a lot of difference when you get in between the Boox and the Supernote. You know, they're very similar. And then the ViWoods and the Remarkable are very similar, but certainly the ViWoods is the brightest screen. From a ghosting standpoint, I think they all do a really good job of ghosting. All of them, with the exception of the Remarkable, have a way to manually refresh the ghosting on the screen. You know, for you can set up gestures like I do on the Boox to refresh the device when I swipe in from the left. You can certainly swipe down from here and hit E-ink Center. Actually, at the bottom, I've got a button for full refresh. But there's also a button in the E-ink Center to do a full refresh. On the ViWoods device, there's kind of the same thing. You can hit the refresh button. On the Supernote Manta, I have my capacitive strip swapped because I'm left-handed. Most of you that have a Supernote or have seen a Supernote, this is going to be on the right side, but for me it's on the left. But I can swipe up to refresh the screen. But on Remarkable, I have no way of manually doing that. There's no refresh to be able to get that you know, manually done. So due to the brightness of the screen and the ability to do a full refresh relatively simply, the ViWoods AI Paper is going to take the #1 spot here. Remarkable 2 is going to fall to #4 only because, you know, it's also got a bright screen, but there's no way to manually refresh the screen like there is on the ViWoods AI Paper. Going to give Supernote Manta the 2nd spot here. The ghosting, in my opinion, is not as bad as it is on the Boox Go 10.3, and you've got that swipe gesture as well to be able to refresh the screen as you do on the Boox. I just think that the ghosting is better, or the anti-ghosting is better on the Supernote Manta. From a writing experience standpoint, so I've got the factory stylus, and I say factory stylus, some of them have more than one options. For example, on the Boox device, this is the one that ships with the device. They also offer a Pen 2 Pro that you can order, but I'm not looking at that one today. This is what comes with the ViWoods. On the Supernote, you have a lot of different options for ceramic nib styluses. I've got the Heart of Metal 2, seems to be a very popular choice for that device. And for the Remarkable 2, there's two options. You can get the standard stylus without the eraser, or you can get the premium stylus that I've got here that does have the eraser attached. For the Boox, it's a good writing experience. It's certainly not the best. It is, there's not a lot of grippiness to the surface, but it does provide friction to where you're not sliding across the page like you would on a glass device, like an iPad or other devices. On the ViWoods, it's kind of a similar experience. It may actually be a little bit more slippery than the Boox Go 10.3. Not a bad experience. I do like the fact that they've got a very good calligraphy pen built into that. And there was an update that just came out in the last couple of days that gave you more options for the calligraphy pen to be able to get even finer than what it did before. So from an aesthetic standpoint, that calligraphy pen is great in my opinion. From the Supernote Manta, the writing experience on here, you've got what's different on here is that you've got a ceramic nib pen. It's a very, very fine point pen. And then you've got a Feel-Right 2 surface on this device. So the writing experience on this is probably gonna be tough to beat. You get a little bit of resistance. I equated this to is if you had one of those bottles or those cardboard containers of like a protein drink or something like that. They've got a wax film on it, and it would be the equivalent of if you took a very sharp pen and you tried to write on that wax film. It's a good experience. It gives you just enough resistance. It does feel like it's kind of digging into the screen a little bit, and the Feel-Right 2 screen protector is kind of a self-healing type screen protector. So in the right light, if I were able to photograph this or video this, I would certainly do it. But you can actually see where it leaves, like an indentation on the screen, but then it heals itself after the fact. The Remarkable 2 is a fantastic writing experience, especially when you use a pen. And I'm stretching across the table to be able to write. So this is probably not the best handwriting I would be able to produce here. So from the writing experience standpoint, I think that there's, all of them are good. You're not going to be disappointed with any of them, I think. But check out my rankings on each one of these. So the number one spot in the writing experience, without a doubt, goes to the Supernote Manta with a Feel-Right 2 and the ceramic nib pen. It is absolutely, in my opinion, the best writing experience on an e-ink device, hands down. The Remarkable 2 would come in second place here over the other two devices, with the ViWoods AI Paper coming in next. And I'm only giving that to the ViWoods AI Paper because the pen selections, I really love that calligraphy experience better on that one. And then the Boox Go 10.3 in the fourth spot. But those last two are very close and extremely subjective. So from the ability to have custom templates, where you can import your own templates and be able to use them on the device, I think all of them do a pretty good job of that. From the book standpoint, you can come in here and create a note, create a handwritten note if it will do it. I don't know if I'm touching the screen somewhere else or not. And from here, you can say that I want to do a custom template. I can add a template if I want to, and I can just go to I think I've deleted all my downloads, but here's one here that I can add to it. It's a 2025 to do. I'm just gonna add maybe one page to it. It's gonna bring it in, and now I can use this as a template. Very simple to do. And now it's in there to use and reuse. So Boox does a really good job There's not a specific format that you have to use. You can just use a PDF device, or I'm sorry, a PDF file. So the ViWoods also has template support. And you can come in here and you can say, I want to customize. You can bring it in as a PNG or a JPEG file, so you can't do the PDFs. But you could, and then the process to get it in there is you got to, bring that over, scanning the code here and bringing it in that way. So not quite as good in the fact that I create a lot of PDF files. I can convert them to PNG files very easily. It's just easier to not have to go through that step. So a little bit of difference there. From the Supernote Manta, my pen is trying to get away on the ViWoods. It's not attaching very well. From the Supernote Manta, you can also do custom templates here. So you can see you've got customization. I've already imported quite a few. Here's one that I created for building visits. I brought it in as a PDF file. I can say that I want to select these 2 pages as my template. Oops, select all and apply as a template. Very simple to do. And there is my template that I've added back to the device that I was, to the notes that I was already using. So very simple process there. Love that I can use PDF files. It's a little bit different experience on the Remarkable too. So, and this also goes for the Remarkable Paper Pro. So I can't add custom templates to this device without putting this device into developer mode and then getting third-party software for the most cases. There may be other ways of doing this, but buying third-party software to be able to add those files to this device. Well, first I've also got to convert them to PNG like I did on the ViWoods. But so once I convert them to PNG using the third-party software, I can connect this to my computer and I can, upload the templates to this device and use them. However, every time that there's a software update for the Remarkable, those get wiped out. So I would say that the template experience or the custom template experience on this is not as good. So in this category, I give books the #1 spot. Very easy to import, PNG, PDF, a variety of different file formats. But I'd also give a very close second to the Supernote Manta, with ViWoods AI Paper coming in third, and then Remarkable really shouldn't even be in this category because they really don't give a good way of doing custom templates at all, other than a workaround using third-party software, and then it doesn't stick after a OS update. So the next thing is the ability to search handwritten notes. So for the most part, searching handwritten notes on the devices that do it are only available on the native Notes application. They're not available on, if you annotate PDF files and those types of things. But first of all, the Remarkable 2, there is no ability to search handwritten notes. Also on the ViWoods AI Paper, there's no ability to be able to search handwritten notes. So those two fail this particular comparison. Now on the Boox and the Supernote Manta, you can search handwritten notes, but it's a little bit different, and the implementation favors the Supernote Manta in that Boox uses no index for the search. Otherwise, every time you search, it's going to start over as though it's never indexed those notes. It's never tried to look for those before. And it can be an extended period of time, measured in minutes, before it'll return anything, depending on how many files and folders it's got to go through. So on the Supernote Manta, if you create a note, you have the choice of creating it as a standard note or real-time recognition. I do all real-time recognition. It says that it supports searching handwriting and faster exporting to text and docx, but it will be increased power consumption. I don't really notice that. But I do all of my notes as real-time recognition. It does index these notes so that you're not going through every single one every single time, and you get a much faster return on your searches with the Supernote. So only 2 contenders in this category, and that is Supernote in the first spot, Boox Go 10.3 in the second spot. Supernote takes the top spot because of it saves the indexing of the notes, it's real-time recognition, and it's much faster to find your handwritten notes. All right, the next category that we'll go to is tags and keywords, and really just a way to quickly get back to outside of using handwritten recognition, how can you tag a specific page or a specific note to be able to get back to it quickly based on keywords or tags. So the Boox does use a tagging system, so I can write something, I can lasso it, and then I can tag it, and I can give it a tag as, let's just say, template here. And now that saves it as a tag. I can manage those tags when I'm out in the Notes app. I got tag management here, and I can see all my tags. I can see how many notes they're associated with. I can delete those tags. Also, I can search for tags. I can search for by title, handwriting, text, or tags, and I can do it in all folders. The ViWoods uses a similar approach in that they do allow tagging. It's right here on the menu bar. So I can create a new tag. I can just say that this is a calligraphy tag. And now that's tagged with that. As I'm out at the home screen, I can certainly search for, as I'm in the notes, and come over here and search for tags. There's my calligraphy tag. There's two notes that are filed under calligraphy. So the Supernote takes a different approach in that they use keywords. I'll show you how that works. You can write a word. I'll just write the word keyword. And I'm stretching to write this. But then I can lasso this. I can click on the little K in the box. That's for keyword. It's going to recognize it, realize that the word is keyword. I can add that. And now that's going to be in my list of keywords. So if I were to come down and search, I can say that I want to search keywords, and I want to search in, all formats. And the keyword that I want to search for is keyword. And there it is. The Remarkable uses tags, sort of like the Boox and the ViWoods does, where I can come in and I can tag this particular, let's just say I'm going to tag it as an action item, and then I can come out here. I'm trying to do this across the table. I can come out here and I can see my tags, or my notes with tags. I can look for ones with action, and I've got two notes there. So I give the top spot on this one to Supernote with the way that they use keywords. It's just very easy to implement, very easy to go back and look up your keywords as well as your headings and stars, which I did not go over. The Boox would be in my second place here. And then I think that the ViWoods and the Remarkable 2 are a little bit more simplistic in their approach to this, but still very effective for both of them. So the next feature is going to be using some kind of an outline or a table of contents or headings, whatever you want to call it, that makes organization on the device a lot easier. I'll start off by saying that there's two devices that can't do this in any way, shape, or form, and that's the ViWoods and the Remarkable 2. However, the Supernote Manta and the Boox Go 10.3 do have outlining, table of contents, headings, whatever you want to call that. On the Boox Go 10.3, they call it an outline, and basically you're building a table of contents for your note. So if you have multiple pages and you want to come and look at that, here you can say that I want to look at it from a outline standpoint. I'll show you how that works. I'm going to make this page. I'm going to add it to the outline, and I'm just going to call it first page. And then I'm going to skip a couple of pages. Skip to page 3. I'm going to make this an outline as well. I'm going to call this third page.
And so now I've got the beginnings of an outline built. So if I come over here and I start to look at my outline, I can quickly skip to first page or third page or whatever else I've got on there. Of course, the second page falling in between there, it's not part of the outline, it's not part of the table of contents. Theoretically, that would just be a second, an additional notes for that first page, but I can jump back to the first page just by clicking on it. For the Supernote Manta, they make a little bit easier to use implementation of this in that if I create a page, let me get in here. I'm going to create a page name. Let's just say I was doing a keyword demonstration as I was doing earlier. And this was going to be part of the outline of a much larger document. I've got multiple pages. All I have to do is come over and lasso this. I can say I want to make it a heading. And then I've got several heading styles. I can have white text on a black background. I can have white text on a medium gray background. I can have black text on a light gray or black text on a dark gray or a medium gray. I usually choose this third one here. So that lets you know that that's now part of the headings. And if I were to go up here and look at this document, I can see it uses my own handwriting as the heading name, and I can click on that and get back to it at any time, no matter how many pages or how many different headings I've got on there.
So in this category, I'm going to give the Boox Go 10.3 the #1 spot. For something that I forgot to mention in the video itself was that not only can you do outlines, but you can do like sub outlines. So you can have nested sub outlines within, your main table of contents. I'm going to give Supernote Manta the second spot, of course, because the Remarkable 2 and the ViWoods AI Paper just do not have this functionality.
So the next feature that I think is very handy to have in a handwritten note device is the ability to link to other notes. This could also allow you to, link subjects together. It could allow you to create a table of contents, and where you've got, a list of notes in a folder, you can list those out in a table of contents where you can just click on it and be able to go directly to a notes file. I'll say that two of the devices here, once again, do not have that capability. That would be the ViWoods AI Paper and the Remarkable 2. Both the Boox Go 10.3 and the Supernote Manta do linking. The only, you get several different options of how you want the linking to look in the Go 10.3. For example, if I wanted to create a link here, I could just come over here and lasso this. Let me find my lasso. I can create a link. I can link to another note. Let's say I link to this one. And I have the option of making it an icon only, so it's just a little square looking link. I can have an icon and a title, and I think that's what it defaults to there. So if you do an icon and a title, so it gives me a real small link here, but what it does is it puts this below what I lassoed. And to me, I use a lot of line templates, and I don't like that because now I'm taking up more than one line for that. A workaround for that is that I could just make the link, oops, I'm writing on it. I could just make the link instead of an icon and title, I could just make it an icon and maybe move it around to the other side. Or I could just insert a link. I could do a link to a note and just say I'm doing it to that same note. I could do just the icon only. And now I've got this icon. I can bring it over here and put it next to the word that it's referencing. And then instead of course, I'd have to get rid of that, but instead of it being underneath, I could do it like that as well. So the Supernote Manta does it a couple of different ways. If I've got handwritten text, I can lasso that, and then I can create a link here. I can link to another file. I'm just going to say other files in the same folder. Let's just say it is journal PDF here. And now I've got a link to that folder. You can see that it underlined it. It put a little link icon out to the side of it. Or I can just come in and just say I want to insert a link. I can do that here. and I can make this a text link. Let's just say, and I want to go to another file. Let's just say it's going to be the same journal file. And there I've got my text link as well. So both, if you want it to look cleaner, you can certainly use that instead of the handwritten.
This is another category where there's only two contenders that have these features, and that would be Supernote Manta in the number one spot and the Boox Go 10.3 in the number two spot. I like the implementation in the Supernote Manta a little bit better, although both are extremely functional and are handy features to have for note takers.
So the next category has to do with import and export. And I think that, and this is going to bleed a little bit over into the partner app, I think, but the ability to import notes or import PDFs is relatively easy on each one of these devices. The partner apps on two of these devices are better than the others. I think that the Supernote partner app and the Remarkable partner app are the best and the easiest to use. There's a lot of functionality in the books as well, as far as getting stuff in and out. But the books has a little bit of a ability that the other devices here don't have, in that it does have the Google Play Store integration, and so I can download, for example, I can download the Remarkable app on my books, or the Supernote app on my books, or even the ViWoods, and then I can import from those devices using the partner apps, or I can export to these devices using the partner apps, where I can't do that on the other devices. When I try to do that on the ViWoods, the functionality is just not there. It doesn't have the full functionality of the Google platform there.
So I know I said at the beginning of the video that I would not take into consideration like Google Play Store or other features outside of handwriting, but in this particular category, it's very important to me to be able to get files from one device to another device because I use multiples, and the ability to import and export using the share function on the books that integrates with other apps on the books device is puts that in the number one spot. Uh, I've got a tie for number two for both the Supernote Manta and the Remarkable 2. Very easy to import and export on those. And the ViWoods AI paper I've got in the number four spot.
And then the last category has to do with the partner apps that I've already touched on a little bit. And I think I may have covered what I wanted to cover here. The best partner apps, in my opinion, are the Supernote and the Remarkable. They give you really clear images of the notes that you're looking at, the templates that they're on. It's easy to import and export. Just a really great experience on both of these. The Boox also has a great experience, but I can tell you that if I've got something on a PDF custom template, it won't show me the PDF template. If somebody knows a workaround on that, or if I'm doing something wrong, certainly let me know. But these are certainly the best of the two there.
So I think you already heard me say in the last clip that the Supernote Manta and the Remarkable 2 are the best, and I've got those tied for the number one spot. I've got the Boox Go 10.3 in the third spot, and then the ViWoods AI paper has several different methods of being able to get, uh, stuff on and off to the device, but they don't have a dedicated app, so I put that into the number four spot. So before I reveal the final scores for each one of the devices, I want to tell you first off that I own all of these devices, and I own them for a reason. Not only do I like to test and try out different devices, but I do swap between devices on a regular basis just because I enjoy the features and the experience on each one of the devices. So if you're considering buying any one of these four, you can't go wrong. Think about the features that you want in an e-ink device, and if you want a black and white, if you want a 10-inch size device, think about the features that you want. Go back and watch the video again, and it should help you decide which one that you want to buy. But just because the device scores lower, or actually it has a higher score, and this one is worse, doesn't mean that it's not the right device for you. So I want you to take that into consideration. So with that said, let's look at the final rankings. So clearly in the number one spot, we've got the Supernote Manta. There's a lot to love about this device. I put out a video when I first got the Supernote Manta. I resisted buying this device for a long time, in even previous iterations with the Nomad and the prior to the Nomad and the Manta, the original devices. I just thought that they looked cheap. I thought that they looked plasticky. I thought that the OS looked very simple and basic, and I just really avoided it for those reasons. But once I got it in my hands, it's really impressive device, very impressive device, and certainly out of all the devices that I carry and that I swap in between day in and day out, I make sure that my Supernote Manta is up to date at all times because it is my go-to device at the moment. In the number two spot, and not far behind the Supernote Manta, is the Boox Go 10.3. This is another fantastic device. You absolutely can't go wrong. Boox has a little bit of a learning curve when you get into it, but it is so feature rich. And if we were to rate it on other features such as its ability to be an Android e-ink tablet, it's a fantastic for those uses. So if you need something beyond note taking, certainly worth considering that as well. The ViWoods AI paper and the Remarkable 2 were virtually in a tie with each other, 1 point apart. And you know, I think from a note taker standpoint, it's just the features that you get or the extra features that you don't get on these two devices that cause them to rank a little bit lower on this. But they're still great experiences and great tablets to have. I want to show you some of the features of the VWoods that have surprised me. They're ramping up the software on this at a very rapid pace and making this a much better device month after month, and I want to share that with you in a future video. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It really helps, and we'll see you in the next video.